And we're back with some more Hamilton Tigers franchise mode in FHM 11. And in this one, I have decided that this is going to be the last episode because obviously most of you guys at this point know about the rebrand that I'm going to be doing pretty soon. And that is still on track to happen. Unfortunately, the full rebrand is going to be taking a little bit longer than I'd hoped because there is a part of it that's at this point out of my hands. I had to hire somebody to help me with this rebrand. That's how technically complicated it is. Because I'll just say that what I'm trying to do with this rebrand is something that is way beyond the scope of my skill. and it would have taken me way too long to learn. So I had to hire somebody to do this part of the rebrand for me, the part that I'm talking about, which will become apparent pretty soon. I'm going to be announcing the name of the rebrand, in which the current date is set for April 12th. I am hoping to announce at least the name of the rebrand by April 12th, and I want to have everything wrapped up before then. So this will be the final episode of the Hamilton Tigers series. And it's unfortunate because, you know, this team at one point looked like it was going to be pretty good, especially in the 2032-33 season, we had 55 wins. And then it was during the 2034-35 season, after that season, where we were forced to trade Adam Gagin and Ivan Ryabkin. Neither of them wanted to re-sign on the team, and that was really the start of the downfall of this team. Because after that season, it was really not fun whatsoever. The past 5 seasons have been abysmal. And another reason I wanted to end off this series was because the final major update for this game just recently released. So I think I would like to start a fresh save file because at this point we're seeing, we saw before with John Roos, Dylan Chenot, and Alexander Rasvarov being available in free agency throughout the entirety of last season. They did none of them played at all last season, as we see an absolutely stacked free agency class here in this offseason. You have Rasvarov, a 4.5-star player, asking for $2.6 million for 3 years. This save file is officially starting to break. I think that's what's happening here. And then you have Ruse, the 5-star player, also asking for 2.6, considering he did not play whatsoever. So I think it's about time that we start a fresh save file here. Just considering everything that is happening right now in this save file. The fact that we failed to be anything close to resembling a good playoff team, and we are now in a downfall, which is probably going to take at least a few years to recover from, considering the fact that we're probably going to be trading Bjork in this offseason. We're also probably going to be trading Tyson Orr. He's got 1 year left on his deal, and obviously, he doesn't even want to resign. So that's that. Like, it's the fate of this team is completely sealed. There's no doubt about it. This team is going into a rebuild. I do not want to end it off on this sour of a note. So what we're going to do is do a bit of a time skip thing. I'm just going to simulate through the entire rebuild. I'm going to highlight any of the key important changes that I make, like, key players that I draft or key trades that are made. But besides that, we're just going to skip through these next few years and lead up until we can officially call ourselves a good team again. And then we will go through one final playoff run, one final push to see if we can actually do it with the new and improved roster. But besides that, this franchise mode is basically all but wrapped up here. And so I think with that, we will go ahead with the time skip here. All right, we're here at the end of the first year of the rebuild, which went about as expected. We finished 30, 44, and 8 with 68 points on the season. That was good enough for 31st in the league. And when I tell you we traded everybody, we traded just about everybody during this past season. As we take a look at the trades here, we traded Shkarikovich to the New Jersey Devils in exchange for Tyler Brennan, a 2nd-round pick for this year, a 3rd-round pick, which ended up being Hayden Peroni, and another 3rd-round pick, which ended up being Mark Fox. Then we also traded Cohen Petney to the Houston Aeros in exchange for Brady Turner, and a 3rd-round pick, which ended up being Sergei Honcharuk. And then we made a trade that was the official biggest sign of the start of the rebuild. We traded Vigo Bjork to the LA Kings alongside of the rights to Jan Uchelka, who is now apparently with Minnesota, in exchange for Nikita Artamonov, who's not nearly as good here in this save file as he is with the Rangers, and George Komodowski. So 2 veterans there just to fill out the salary cap. But the real assets here were a 1st-round pick for 2040 and a 1st-round pick for 2041 that we have not used yet. And the 2040 first round pick ended up being Robbie Wardlow, a 3-star potential defenseman. And then later we ended up reacquiring Stian Solberg because of the fact that we had to fill up some cap space. So I was like, okay, may as well just get him back for a cheap prospect goaltender who we're never going to use anyway. He's a half-star ability, half-star potential, 24 years of age. And then a few days later, we traded Artem Korolev to the Carolina Hurricanes in exchange for Cristiano Diadabo. I don't know why that's so difficult for me to pronounce, but it was him along with a second round pick for 2041, a third round pick for 2041, and a third round pick for 2042. And then a couple of days later, we traded Tyson Orr to the Winnipeg Jets along with 2 first round picks. Now you may be wondering why 2 first round picks. Well, here's the thing. We got Branzak Nygaard, Michael Branzak Nygaard. He was just to fill out the salary cap, of course. The same deal for Brady Wasselin. But what we got in return was a first round pick as well for also the 2041 draft. So we swapped 2 first round picks in this year's draft for 1 plus Peter Goy, the 3-star ability, 4-star potential defenseman, 22 years of age, very good offensively, although his role is apparently a stay-at-home defenseman, so he's I would say he's more of a two-way defenseman all in all. And so far with your Hamilton Tigers, he's had a very good simulation. He only had 25 points this past year, but he had a 77 grade overall, which, as we take a look at his defensive grade, he had an 80 defensive grade on the season. I mean, that's pretty solid if you ask me. That's very good, in fact. So hopefully he is a part of our roster for years to come. And then we had one more trade after that, close to the trade deadline, involving Matt Schaefer to the Utah Hockey Club in exchange for Alex Catan, a 1.5-star ability defenseman, 3.5-star potential. His current ratings are not that great, but I'm banking on his potential, carrying him to being an NHL level defenseman. And then what perhaps may have been the biggest acquisition was not even a trade. It was Archie Starks being called up from the minor leagues. He got his first action this year, halfway through the season. He only had 15 games played, but he had a .918 save percentage and a .702 goals saved above average, 78 grade. So I'm hoping that he will be able to carry that momentum into next season and beyond, and he will be able to be our starting goaltender for the foreseeable future. And then, of course, you also have the development of guys like Doug Meyer, 22 years of age, 3.5-star ability now, 42 points this past season, 63 grade. Then you also have Robbie Ballantine, who took another step forward this season, 46 points on the back end. And then you also have Richard Stevens, who's a 3.5-star ability at 22 years of age and had 38 points this season and a 65 grade. And then not to mention Roman Friedman, who's still a 3-star ability, but he did have 60 points this past season, which led our team. So we can definitely say at this point that we are without a doubt in rebuild mode. However, I think the future is bright with guys like Peter Goy, Robbie Ballantine, who's been really good so far, Archie Starks, who made a good first impression. So there's a lot to look forward to, but of course, there's still a lot of work to be done. All right, but I do want to go over the draft picks that we had in this year's past draft. There was Arthur Monroe, who is a 3-star potential, 1.5-star ability right winger, 4-star consensus, and also he was projected to be picked at number 1. Not that that means much, but still it's something to go off of. And then you have Greg Brown, 12th overall, who is a right defenseman, half-star ability, 3-star potential, 4.5-star consensus. So I was pretty heavy on the consensus potential picks here in this draft. He was also, I believe he was ranked at number 5. Yes, indeed. So we will see how he turns out. There's also Robbie Wardlow, who we saw earlier. And then for our last pick in the first round, there was Alexander Prima, who is a 2.5-star potential right defenseman, 1-star ability, and a 3.5-star consensus. And so with that out of the way, we'll now move on to year number 2 of the full-blown rebuild and what I believe is year number 18 in total. All right, we're now at the end of the regular season of year number 2 of the rebuild, and we finished 22, 57, and 3. So getting worse before it gets better here. Unfortunately, as we finished dead last in the league, 36th, and we had team plus minus of -104. So into the triple digits there, and somehow our guy Archie Starks in 64 games played had a .913 save percentage. That's crazy. This poor guy, he was probably facing like 45, 50 shots a night. Let's see. Yeah. 52, 42, 48, 43, 55, 45, 50, 33, 24, 25, 38. Yeah, I mean, that's crazy. He was very busy this season. and he is now up to a 4-star ability. So I cannot wait to see what he does with an actual competent team in front of him. Because if he's doing this with this kind of support, with a team that had 22 wins on the season, then I have high hopes for him once we're actually a good team. That is, if he's not asking for like 15 million by that point. We also did make a couple of trades on July 1st. Nothing too crazy though. It was just really to fill out the salary cap. We acquired Conrad von Dirk, who was making 5.5 on his salary for the next 2 years, and then also Joaquin Garras, who is making 4 million on his salary for the next 2 years. So a good way to fill out the cap there is it didn't really cost us much to trade for those guys. It was just the rights to, older players who we weren't going to be using anymore. And then we also managed to sneak in a 6th-round pick in there. And now let's take a look at the draft class from this past season. In the top 10, we had 2 top 10 picks. We took Kelly Stokes, 4th overall, who is currently at 2-star ability, 3.5-star potential. He's got the 5-star consensus, and he was ranked, I believe, at number 1. Yep, he was ranked at number 1 in the mock draft. So hopefully he does eventually simulate like a number 1 overall pick. We took Kelly Gibson, so 2 Kellys, and oddly enough, he was ranked at number 2. So we took the 1 and 2 highest ranked players in that draft at picks 4 and 7. He is currently a 1.5-star ability, 3.5-star potential, but he has that 5-star consensus potential. So once again, hoping he reaches that. So there you go. Nothing really too crazy happening in this season besides the fact that Archie Starks had a 913 save percentage on a team that was minus 104 on the season. So that was pretty crazy. Pretty tame in terms of basically everything else. Oh yeah, and so also we had to replace Jay Pandolfo because he ended up retiring. So we hired Sheldon Keefe to be our new head coach for the foreseeable future. And he prefers prospects, so you know what? That's good enough for me. He's got perfect 20 coaching ratings across the board, 20 player management, 20 tactics, so should be good to whip these guys into shape. So with that being said, I think we'll advance to the next season and see what year 19 has in store for your Hamilton Tigers. And we're here at the end of year number 19. We finished 38, 39, and 5. So much better than last year. Much better than the past 2 years, actually. Last year we were 22, 57, and 3. This year we finished with 81 points. That was good enough for 7th in the Atlantic. So we did get much better. Still obviously a lot of work to do. Unfortunately, though, Archie Starks ended the season with an injury on March 2nd. He did not finish that game, and he has not played since. However, he's up to a 4.5-star ability now at 24 years of age. So he is basically at his peak. I think that glove hand at 21, literally off the charts, is definitely helping him. Although, unfortunately, this year he only had a 901 save percentage in 57 games played. Also, Kelly Stokes made his NHL debut. He's now 20 years of age, 2.5-star ability, 4-star potential. He had 34 points in his rookie season in 79 games played, 60 grade. So he had a decent rookie season. Hopefully he could build off that next year. And then you had Doug Meyer leading the way in the scoring with 72 points. You had Fridman with 70, O'Duganin with 67. He had a breakout year. As last season, he only had 28, but that was in 45 games played. Then you have Robbie Ballantine with 55. He had a career year. Eric Zegedy getting better. He's at a 2.5-star ability, 3.5-star potential. He had 44 points this year. Arthur Monroe also made his NHL debut. He has 25 points in 82 games played, 57 grade. So we're seeing a lot of our young talent that we have recently drafted or traded for finally starting to make their way into the league and start to build themselves up as reputable players. So obviously there's still a long way to go, but we're getting there. We are on our way to becoming a contending team once again. And now, of course, we're going to take a look at the draft from this past season. At least in the first round, you have Brian Dawkins, who we took 3rd overall. Despite that, he was actually ranked 1st overall, so we took him. Of course, I was banking on the fact that he had that 4.5-star consensus potential, because with the team scouting, he only has a 3-star potential, 2-star ability, though. I personally think he'll end up in the NHL really soon, maybe even as soon as next season. So again, we're getting there. We're definitely on our way as a team to becoming a contender, but there is still much more work to be done. So let's go ahead and simulate year number 20 of this franchise mode. Of all the years to get GM of the year, I mean, I'll take it, but I mean, I guess the difference in the wins that we had during last regular season compared to this regular season is what did it. But of course, a successful GM wouldn't be anything without his rosters. So I like to thank the boys for making me look good, because this GM mode as a whole has not made me look good. I mean, you know what? At least we won the Stanley Cup in the Rangers GM mode, but that's an alternate universe, though. That's an alternate timeline. In this timeline, I need all the good looks I can get, because this GM mode has not made me look good. All right, we are now at the end of year number 20, and we actually finished 54, 26, and 2. The rebuild is over. We finished second in the Atlantic Division behind Florida, who was frankly ridiculous. 63 wins and 133 points for Florida. But you know what? We were tied for second in the league as well with the New York Rangers. So this was a very good season for your Hamilton Tigers. And frankly, in my opinion, a very good rebuild because I think we officially started rebuilding in the 2039-40 season, and then we struggled for the next 2 years after that because we had basically nobody. And then last year was, an improvement on the last 2 years, but still obviously not good enough. But now we're sitting here with 54 wins, 110 points, the first 100-point season since the 2034-35 season, which, if you would believe it, it was quite a while ago. So you know what? I think this is going to be the team that we go into one final playoff run with and hopefully win the Stanley Cup. But obviously, a lot has happened over the past few years, so we're going to catch up here. And particularly this past offseason was when a lot happened, in particular with trades. As on July 2nd, we traded Clayton Chapman, the rights to Weber and Getmanenko, a second and a third to the Montreal Canadiens in exchange for Rostkov and 3 first-round picks. I don't know how we did that, but I guess Montreal wanted Chapman enough. And then we made a trade with the Nashville Predators a day later, involving the rights to Kokkonen, Zigo, Mueller, a third and a second. And in exchange, we got Kotasari, who was just in there for cap reasons, a first and a second. And then on that same day, we made a trade with the Edmonton Oilers that sent the rights to Long and Shkadov, along with a second-round pick to the Edmonton Oilers in exchange for Legitsikos, who was once again just in there for cap reasons. He was a cap dump for Edmonton, and a first-round pick. And then we made a trade with the New Jersey Devils at the draft, which sent 2 of our first-round picks that we had just acquired, along with the rights to Benino and a 7th-round pick in exchange for their first-round pick. And then we also made a trade with the Islanders involving the rights to Pessinen, half-star ability, half-star potential, in exchange for Kusela and a 5th. So now let's get a look at the past draft. You have 4 first-round picks, the first being Brian West, who is currently a 2-star ability, 3-star potential, 4-star potential consensus. Then right after him, you have Jonathan Jacobson, and he was taken with New Jersey's pick that we had acquired at the draft. 2-star ability, 3-star potential, 4-star consensus potential. Then you have the goaltender Brian Powell, 15th overall, who's currently a half-star ability, but a 3.5-star potential. So I figure, no, it couldn't hurt to get another goaltender prospect in there. I know we already have Archie Starks, who looks like he's doing a good job. He had a .907 save percentage this year, but still, with the way goaltenders are in this game, you never know. So I figured it'd be a good idea to pick one up. And then 22nd overall, we took Henry Scholes, who is a 2-star ability, 2.5-star potential, and the 4-star consensus potential. So with all that now out of the way, let's finally take a look at the roster that got us here. You have Archie Starks, of course, in net, who has been so solid for the most part. He had a down year last year with a .901 save percentage, but he was never too bad to the point where I ever considered trading him, right? So he's been solid for us over these past few seasons and continues to be. Hopefully he will be just that and more during the playoffs. Then you also have Yannick Ike, who we drafted a while back. He's 25 years of age, 2-star ability. He had an .896 this year in 18 games played, so we're definitely going to be relying on Starks in the playoffs. And then on defense, you have Robbie Ballantine, who's now a 4-star ability. He's been very good for us offensively, 60 points this past season. And then you have Eric Zegedy, who is a 3.5-star ability now, 4-star potential. More or less the same type of player as Mr. Ballantine there. He has 53 points on the season, 67 grade. Although it is worth noting that Zegedy is better defensively in terms of his defensive grade, 74 defensive grade. Then you have Alex Catan, who is more of a defensive defenseman, 2.5-star ability. He had 47 points this year, despite being primarily a defensive defenseman and a 65 grade. Then you have Slavomir Farkas, who had a 68 defensive grade, 2.5-star ability. He's one of the few veterans who stuck around for the entirety of the rebuild. He had 60 points this past season. There was a lot of depth scoring on this team this season. Then you have Peter Goy, who's 25 years of age, 2.5-star ability. So he didn't quite pan out the way I thought he would, but he's still a solid defenseman for us. He had 42 points this past season, 67 grade. Then you have Greg Brown, 21 years of age, 2-star ability, 3-star potential. He in 42 games played this year had 16 points and a 63 grade. And then Alexander Prima, who is a 2-star ability, 2.5-star potential, had 43 games played this year, 9 points and a 56 grade. So there's a look at our defensive core. Now you have the forwards. You have Johnny Oduganin, who's now a 4-star ability. He's been very solid for us over the past couple of seasons. 73 points this year, 67 last year, and he had a 67 grade this year as well. And then you have our new captain, Roman Fridman, who is 25 years of age, 4-star ability. And he led our team in goals this year with 36. He had 40 assists for 76 points, which I believe leads our team, and a 69 grade. Then you have Doug Meyer, one of our alternate captains, who is a 4-star ability, 28 goals, 72 points. Then you have Peter Susek, who's a 3.5-star ability at 23 years of age, 24 goals, 50 points this year. And then, of course, you have Richard Stevens, who is a 3.5-star ability at 25 years of age, 26 goals, 49 points. So that is a career high for him. You have Marc-Olivier Hamel, a 3-star ability, who this year had 19 goals, 38 points. And then you have Arthur Monroe, who's 21 years of age now, 3-star ability, 3.5-star potential, has that 5-star consensus. And he had a very good sophomore season here, 55 points in 81 games played. Compare that to 25 last year and a 64 grade. So Arthur Monroe on the way up. You also have Kelly Stokes, who is 21 years of age, 3-star ability, 4-star potential. Last year in his rookie season, he had 34 points. This year, he had 14 goals and 43 points and a 61 grade. Then you have Sean McReevy, who I actually signed out of free agency, who had 14 goals and 20 points on the season. And you have Kelly Gibson, 21 years of age, 2.5-star ability, 3.5-star potential. This was his rookie season in the NHL. He had 4 goals, 18 points. And then you have Maximilian Kusela, who we traded for in order to get a first-round pick from the Islanders, I believe it was. Then you have Aaron Sirane, who's 34 years of age, who I also traded for in a cap dump trade from Philly, I believe. However, despite the fact that he's only a 2-star ability, he actually had 46 points this year and a 62 grade. And then you have Chad Lagitsikos, who was also another cap dump trade in order to acquire a first-round pick. And he had 8 points in 27 games played this year. And then you also have on the injury list Jose Martinez, who is a 2.5-star ability, 3-star potential, 5-star consensus. So we have a lot of those 5-star consensus players. And this was his rookie season. He had 7 goals and 8 assists in 57 games played. And now let's check out the team stats just to see where we stand in the league. For goals for per game, we were 4th in the league with a 3.76. Goals against per game, we were 8th in the league with a 2.9. Face-offs, we were 18th in the league with a 49.9. Power play, we were 12th in the league with a 20.4. And penalty kill, we were 13th in the league with an 81%. So pretty good season, all things considered. I mean, certainly was not expecting to have this quick of a turnaround, honestly. I thought it was going to take another season or two beyond this one, but it seems this team is ready to go on a playoff run. So that is exactly what we're going to do here. And hopefully we can end this franchise mode off on a good note. And we have the 43, 31, and 8 Boston Bruins in the first round of the year 20 playoffs. So let's get right to it. Game number 1 will be a 7-2 Hamilton victory. That is what you like to see. Shots are 40-19 in favor of Hamilton. 3 stars a game, Ballantine, Susek, and Segedy. First period, you have Brian Mowry for Boston getting the first goal, but then you have Oduganin from Stevens and Hamel to make it tied at 1, and then Segedy from Hamel and Stevens to make it 2-1, heading in the locker room, where you have Arthur Monroe in the second period from Fridman and Meyer to make it 3-1. Third period, you have Ballantine with the goal from Segedy and Susek to make it 4-1. Glenn Archer with the goal for Boston to make it 4-2, but then you have Susek from Stokes and Ballantine to make it 5-2. Sean McReevy from Susek and Monroe to make it 6-2, and then Peter Goy from Ballantine and Stokes to make it the 7-2 victory. All right, here we go. Game number 2 will be a 4-3 Hamilton victory. There you go. Shots are 33-25 in favor of Boston this time, but we get the victory. 3 stars a game, Meyer, Kilpainen, and Fridman. First period, you have Kilpainen with the goal for Boston on the power play to make it 1-0, but then you have Peter Susek roughly a minute later from McReevy and Catan to make it 1-1. Second period, you have Prima with the goal from Oduganin and Hamel to make it 2-1. Then you have Troy Kenny with the power play goal for Boston to make it 2-2. But then you have Roman Fridman with the power play goal of our own from Ballantine and Meyer to make it 3-2, heading into the third period, where you have Meyer with the power play goal from Fridman and Monroe to make it 4-2. Then you have Lindsay DeRosa with the goal for Boston, but it was not enough, and we go up 2-0 in the series. Here we go. Game number 3 will be a 5-2 Hamilton victory. Shots at 39-23 in favor of Hamilton. 3 stars a game, Farkas with a 4-point night, Oduganin and Hamel First period, Marc-Olivier Hamel with the goal from Farkas and Kusela to make it 1-0. Then you have Stevens from Farkas and O'Duganan to make it 2-0. Second period, you have Kapainen and Bowers with the back-to-back goals for Boston to make it 2-2. But then you have Slavomir Farkas with the goal from Kusela to make it 3-2. And then you have Robbie Ballantine from Fridman and Monroe to make it 4-2 heading into the third period, where it's O'Duganan with the empty net goal from Hamel and Farkas to make it a 5-2 victory and a 3-0 series lead. All right, here we go. Game number 4 going into it. First period. That'll be a 1-0 lead for your Hamilton Tigers. Sean McGreevy with the goal from Brown and Gibson. And that'll be it for the first. We're heading into the second up by 1. And there's a goal for Boston. Davide Croce with the goal to make it tied at 1. And we are heading into the third tied. Oh, there's 2-1. Jack Klotz with the goal for Boston. And there's 3-1. Troy Kenny, 4-1. Davide Croce with the second of the game. And we are headed to game 5. Shots at 34-21 in favor of Boston. 3 stars of the game, Croce, Archer, and Wood. So they avoid the sweep, and we are headed into game number 5. Come on, end it right here. Don't give them anything more. Ooh, 1-0. Mark Maher with the goal for Boston to put them up by 1. 2-0. Bob Earls. And we were heading to the second period down by 2. Come on, Hamilton. Oh boy. Heading to the third period, still down. No goals for us yet. All right, there's a goal for Doug Meyer from Ballantine and Fridman with 1:14 remaining. Can we do it? No. It was too little too late. And it's now a 3-2 series. They have some momentum now. Shots at 30-24 in favor of Hamilton Tigers. 3 stars of the game, Hughes, Meyer, and Hamelin. All right, here we go. Game number 6. Going into it once again. Do not send it to 7. Oh man. Jacob Greger with the goal for Boston. 2-0 Anthony Hamlin. What are you doing, boys? I mean, I know we're a young team here, but come on. Oh, man. Costa Kilpainen. Are we going to 7? I think we're going to 7 here. Yep. That's 4-0. Troy Kenny with the goal for Boston. Yep, we are headed to 7. Shots are 25-15 in favor of Boston. 3 stars of the game, Kilpainen, Croce, and Hamelin. All right, here we go. Game number 7. We're going into it once more. Come on, Hamilton. Do not blow this. I know we're a young team, but still. All right, there you go. Roman Fridman, the captain, scores from Zegedy and Meyer to put us up 1-0. All right, second period time, still up by 1, but there's a goal for Klotz to make it 1-1. Anthony Hamelin with the goal for Boston. All right, we got one back. Aaron Sirene from Kelly Gibson to make it 2-2. All right, 3-2. There you go. Roman Fridman, the captain, stepping up from Zegedy and Ballantine. And there's 3-3. Kilpainen with a goal. This is going back and forth. 4-3. O'Duganan with the unassisted goal. And we're heading into the third up by 1. Come on, Hamilton. Give me the insurance marker. All right, we didn't need it. By the skin of our teeth, we get past the Boston Bruins in what was originally a 3-0 series lead. It goes to 7, and we clinch the victory. And we're off to the second round. Shots at 34-31 in favor of Boston. 3 stars a game. Friedman, Kilpainen, and O'Duganan. And oh boy, the only team that finished ahead of us in the regular season, we will be facing the 63-12-7 Florida Panthers. Oh. How did they have a team like that? Well, I mean, I don't like to write off a series before it even starts, but boy, do we have a mountain to climb. Wow. The roster does not betray the record. Wow. That is an absolutely insane team. And they have Tom Mann, 22 years of age, 3.5-star talent, 5-star potential. Oh, this team is insane. This team's crazy. Let's see it. Oh man. Perry with 113 points, 85, 82, 80, 80. Oh, this is going to be this is going to be ridiculous. Yeah, we have to hope that their goaltending is not going to be great in this series. And Josh Killshaw, 3.5-star ability, but even he had a .909 save percentage during the regular season. I'm not looking forward to this. That is a crazy Florida Panthers team. Holy moly. And of course, featuring Julian De Los Angeles, who I wanted in the draft that he was in. But boy, has he turned out to be a player. 82 offensive grade, 82 defensive grade. This is going to be one heck of a task ahead of us. This may as well be our Stanley Cup. Holy moly, that is a roster. Here we go. Game 1 against the Florida Panthers. Sim game, that'll be a 3-2 Florida victory. Shots are 57-38 in favor of Hamilton, so we outshot them 3 stars a game, De Los Angeles, Zegedy, and Killshaw. So Killshaw, of course, had a fantastic game, and Florida takes the 1-0 series lead. First period, Kelly Stokes with the goal opens up the scoring from Ballantine and Zegedy to make it 1-0, but then it's Power and Fincher with the goals for Florida to make it 2-1. Heading in the second period where there's no scoring. Third period, Roman Friedman with the power play goal from Zegedy make it tied at 2, and we have to head to overtime. We do not get it done the first. We have to go to the second overtime where Atso Toriainen scores on the power play for Florida to make it a 1-0 Florida lead. And honestly, in my opinion, that's a game we should have had. If we have any intention of winning this series, that was a game we needed. So as we head into game number 2, you have a 5-3 Hamilton victory. Okay, I'll take it. Shots are a little bit different this time. Shots are 46-24 in favor of Florida, but we get the victory. 3 stars a game, Monroe, Power, and Friedman. First period, you have Peter Susek with the goal to get things started from Friedman and Ballantine to make it 1-0. Then you have Dean Power with the goal for Florida to make it 1-1. Then you have Marc-Olivier Hamel from Friedman and Monroe to make it 2-1, and then Arthur Monroe from Friedman and Ballantine to make it 3-1. Heading into the second period where it's Susek from Monroe and Stokes to make it 4-1. Third period, De Los Angeles with the power play marker, and then Power to make it 4-3. But Sean McReevy with the empty net goal from Stokes makes it the 5-3 victory, and we're tied at 1 in the series. All right, here we go. Game number 3 will be a 6-1 Florida victory. Yeah, you had to think they were going to have one of those kinds of victories eventually with the with the kind of roster they have. Shots are 36-25 in favor of Florida. 3 stars a game, Updike, Syrat, and Power. First period, you have Sorkelly and Zarbo with the goals for Florida to pick them up 2-0. And the second period, where it's Perry and Syrat to make it 4-0. Then you have Friedman with our lone goal of the game from Susek and Brown to make it 4-1. And then Syrat with the goal to make it 5-1, heading to the third, where it's Updike to make it a 6-1 Florida victory. All right, here we go into game number 4. That'll be a 3-2 Hamilton victory. All right, we're tied at 2 in the series. Shots are 32-29 in favor of Florida. 3 stars a game, Zegedy, De Los Angeles, and Ballantine. First period, you have Cusella with the goal from Meyer and Sirene to make it 1-0. Then you have Chad McDonald to make it 1-1. But then it's Kelly Gibson late in the period from Hamel and Farkas for his first goal of the playoffs to make it 2-1. Second period, you have Fincher with the goal to make it 2-2, but then it's Kelly Gibson with another one from Zegedy and Ballantine to make it the 3-2 Hamilton Tigers victory. All right, here we go. Game number 5, very pivotal. Game number 5 will be an 8-2 Hamilton victory, and we have a 3-2 lead in the series against the 63-win Florida Panthers. Shots at 35 apiece. 3 stars of the game are Susek, Friedman, and Ballantine. Friedman with the 4-point night, Susek as well with the 4-point night and the hat trick. First period, you have Sirene with the goal from Cusella and Lagitsikos to make it a 1-0 lead. And then in the second period, it is all Hamilton as Catan with the goal from Prima and Friedman to make it 2-0. Susek on the power play from Ballantine and Friedman. Gibson from Ballantine and Zegedy. Susek from Ballantine and Hamel to make it 5-0. And then Duganin from Goy to make it 6-0 before Florida gets their first. And actually, we score another one in the third period before Florida is even able to get their first. Susek from Friedman and Catan to make it 7-0. And then Dean Power on the power play for them makes it 7-1. Lee Jenkins makes it 7-2. But then it's Arthur Monroe following it up from Susek and Friedman to make it an 8-2 Hamilton victory, and we're up 3-2 in the series. That's crazy. Just one more. Just give me that win. Give me that shutout victory from Archie Starks. Let's go. I'm calling the shutout. All right, there you go. Johnny O'Duganin with the first goal of the game from Friedman and Monroe to make it 1-0. Shutout broken. Daniel Stramiska with the goal to make it 1-1. And that'll be it for the first. Heading into the second, tied at 1. There you go, 2-1. Robbie Ballantine from Monroe and Zegedy. 3-1. Maximilian Cusella from Sirene and Gibson. But there's a 3-2 goal. Dean Power for Florida gets them back within 1. And we are heading into the third period up by 1. Come on, Hamilton. Come on, Hamilton. Oh, this would be so huge. Roman Friedman with the goal of the captain from Susek and Monroe. And there's 5-2 O'Duganin from Goy. And is that it? That will indeed be it. And we have defeated the 63-win Florida Panthers in a 6-game series. Oh my goodness. And I think that's honestly the best success. This is the best success we ever had. I don't think we've ever been in the third round before. Can anybody correct me? I don't think we have been in the third round. So this roster, has already made it further than the previous roster ever did. So you know what? Let's keep going. Let's keep going. Shots of 31-24 in favor of Florida. 3 stars the game. Monroe with 3 assists. Fridman and O'Duganan. Oh man, that was crazy. I did not think we were thought we were going to lose for sure to the Florida Panthers, but we came out on top, and that is wow. I mean, I'm genuinely in shock. How did we beat this roster? Yeah, we can go all the way. We can absolutely go all the way. And in the third round, we will be facing the 50-24-8 Pittsburgh Penguins. So getting right into it, we're going to continue our momentum. Let's go. Sim game. That'll be a 4-3 Pittsburgh victory. Shots are 35-34 in favor of Pittsburgh. 3 stars a game. Samara, Fridman, and Richter. First period, Sean McReevy scores first from Stokes and Susek to make it 1-0. Second period, you have Samara with the goal to make it 1-1. Third period, Fridman with the goal from Ballantine and Meyer to make it 2-1. Richter with a goal for Pittsburgh to make it 2-2. Fridman with another on the power play from Zegedy and Meyer to make it 3-2. Then you have Patterson to make it 3-3, where we head to overtime, where Samara gets the goal for Pittsburgh to make it a 1-0 series lead for Pittsburgh. All right, here we go. Game number 2 will be a 5-3 Pittsburgh victory. Shots are 39-33 in favor of Pittsburgh. 3 stars of the game, Richter, Siren, and Latour. First period, Fridman with the goal gets things started from Ballantine and Monroe to make it 1-0. And it's Ovsepian on the power play for Pittsburgh to make it 1-1. Then you have Kusela from Goy and Siren to make it 2-1. Korogol gets the goal for Pittsburgh to make it 2-2. And then it's O'Duganan on the power play from Zegedy and Stevens to make it 3-2. And in the second period, we have John Richter ties it up at 3 on the power play. And then the third period, Germain and Richter make it the 5-3 Pittsburgh victory. All right, here we go. Game number 3. This is a key game number 3. We cannot lose this one. And that is a 7-3 Pittsburgh victory. Shots are 46-33 in favor of Hamilton. We tried for sure. We tried to get some offense there, but it seems it was not enough as our defense and goaltending broke down. 3 stars of the game, Korogol, Kenny, and Radmacher. First period, you have Kaiten scoring first for us from Goy to make it 1-0, and then it's Latour and Radmacher to make it 2-1 in favor of Pittsburgh. Stevens with a goal from Goy and O'Duganan to make it 2-2, but then it's Lawson for Pittsburgh to make it 3-2. Eric Zegedy from O'Duganan and Ballantine makes it 3-3, and then you have back-to-back goals for Korogol in the second to make it 5-3. Then in the third period, you have Patterson and Richter to make it a 7-3 Pittsburgh victory, and we are down 3-0 in the series after beating the 63-win Florida Panthers. What is going on here? Elimination game number 4. Backs up against the wall. We have nothing to lose. Just play. All right, there's a goal right off the bat for Pittsburgh. Samora with the goal gives them the 1-0 lead, but there's 1-1. All right, McGreevy with the goal from Susek and Prima. But there's a goal for Korogol, makes it 2-1 halfway through the first, and that'll be a 2-1 lead for Pittsburgh heading into the second period. And that's 3-1 now. Richter, yeah, he's been a thorn in our side in this series, and we are down by 2 heading into the third. All right, there's one. Arthur Monroe from Meyer and Fridman. All right, 3-3 from Monroe. Gets the second of the game from Gibson and Stokes, and we are headed into overtime. Come on, Hamilton. Come on. Who's going to get it? And we do not have a resolution after 1 overtime. Time for the second overtime, and it'll be Pittsburgh. Baklanov with the goal makes it a 4-3 Pittsburgh victory and a sweep. Unfortunate. Shots are 49-47 in favor of Pittsburgh. 3 stars of the game, Germain, Monroe, and Samora. Good effort from Monroe there. It sucks that we could not win the Stanley Cup here in this GM mode at all, including after we did the rebuild. And I'm not going another year. It's been way too long already. So we need to wrap up this series here with this episode. So I think that's going to be it. So like I said, unfortunate that we were not able to get the Stanley Cup here, but I just did not want to end off this series on such a sour note, right? So I want to, at the very least, make this team respectable again and make them competitive and able to be a contender for the foreseeable future. And I think that's what we did, right? We have Archie Starks, who's been playing well. He's up to a 5-star ability now. You have a solid core with Ballantine, O'Duganan, Fridman, Meyer, Zegedy, Susek, Steven, like there's a lot of good players here now. Stokes is coming up, Monroe's coming up. So you have a good young team that is ready to move forward and look past the rebuild and have a good future ahead of them, right? So that was my goal with this rebuild. It wasn't necessarily to win the cup, although that would have been nice, but you know, I just wanted to be able to go out on a good note, right? And I think that's what we did here with this past year. So before we end things off here, we're going to check on Zeke Burns, who is the player for a channel member. It looks like he's a really good player now. 4-star ability, 4.5-star potential, 26 years of age, playing for Edmonton currently. I believe he was drafted to Vancouver. Yes, indeed. It looks like he made a stop in Detroit as well. So this past season, he had 49 points, which is a career high, 64 grade. And actually, I don't know if we saw this before, but he has a gold medal for the United States U20 team in the 2037-38 season. So that's a pretty good career so far, and it looks like he's going to have many more years ahead of him. So it's good to see out of him. So now we'll check out the playoff stats from these past playoffs. You have Friedman with 22 points. He was good. So it seems like he's going to be a solid captain for now and the future. You have Ballantine, the defenseman, with 18 points in 17 games played. Susek and Monroe with 14. Zegedy with 12. O'Duganan with 11, Meyer with 9, Hamel with 8, Gibson and Stokes with 7, the two Kellys. And you have McGreevy, Kusela, and Goy with 6, Sirene, Stevens, and Farkas with 5, Caton with 4, Prima with 3, Brown with 2, and Legitsikos with 1 in 3 games. And then in goal, you have a 901 save percentage for Starks in 17 games played, and then 1 game played for Ike with a 826. So there you go. This has been the Hamilton Tigers franchise mode. And let's just take one final look at all the players who have contributed in one way or another for us. So you have all the way down here, you have Schmidt, and then you have, of course, Viggo Bjork up at the top, who is now retired, and it seems he has now changed his name to Austin Bernovic. So there you go. Austin Bernovic, the Hamilton Tigers legend, who had 858 points in 943 games played. And then in goal, look at how many goaltenders we had. All right, look, this is 22 goaltenders. I mean, you start out with Talbot, then you have Wallstedt, Lindgren, Montebo, Seelovs, Wall, Knight, Gustafsson, Gagen, Zavragan, Ravensburg, and Asselin, Miley, Packer, Oberholzer, Knapp, Werner, Kleems, Brennan, Starks, Janssen, and Ike. So now what we're going to do to end off this series, as we always do, is retire any player numbers who we feel worthy. And I think it should be pretty obvious who it's going to be. It's going to be one player this time. And it's, of course, none other than Viggo Bjork, number 9. Add to the retired list of players. There you go. So Viggo Bjork's number 9 is officially retired for the Hamilton Tigers. But of course, before we end things off, we're going to simulate up to the NHL awards and finish off the season. And the Stanley Cup champions are the Pittsburgh Penguins. They last won in 2017. This is their first cup of the GM mode. They went through the Rangers, the Islanders, your Hamilton Tigers in 4, and then Utah also in a sweep. So it seems no one was stopping Pittsburgh here in this playoffs. And now it's time for the final season awards. You have for the Ted Lindsay, Art Ross, and Maurice Richard, Benny Perry of Florida, who had 53 goals, 113 points. For the Lady Byng, you have Brian Tarpley of San Jose. Bill Masterton, you have Dmitry Ishkov of Buffalo. For the Mark Messier Leadership Award, you have Sean McGreevy of your Hamilton Tigers. I will never understand how that award is handed out. Then you have the Jennings Trophy for Chad Kosalovsky of the Rangers. Hart Trophy between Rathgeber, Melicherick, and Perry. It's probably Perry. Yep. Perry for the Florida Panthers wins it. The Conn Smythe goes to Sean Latour of Pittsburgh, 25 points in 20 games played as a defenseman. For the Calder between Joel McIntosh, Rob Richer, and Michael Sluggett, it is Joel McIntosh of the Rangers for 56 points and 65 games played. For the Norse between Zarbo, Rathgeber, and Gabbard, it is Rathgeber of Pittsburgh with 81 points in 82 games played. For the Selke between Suter, Graves, and Germain, it is Germain of Pittsburgh, 64 points. For the Vezina between Calhoun, Roth, and Hessel, it is Calhoun of Seattle with a 924 save percentage and 5 shutouts. GM of the Year between yours truly, Dan Darrow, and Daniel LeBlanc, it is, all right, I mean, I'll take it. We got GM of the year. Would have been nice to win the Stanley Cup, but you know what? Considering this is the end of the GM mode, I'll take the consolation prize. And for the Jack Adams between Tom Ford, Sheldon Keefe, and Zach Redmond. Come on, Keefe. Tom Ford of Florida. Yeah, figures that 63 wins. But of course, I, once again, would not have been able to win the GM of the year without the efforts of all the players on the team. Thank you very much, boys. And here's our final season summary of the GM mode. You have Manager of the Year, reached the playoffs, winning season, winning percentage of 600 or better. We met our objective. Longevity bonus of 19, total season score of 44, and final career score of 471. 8 available points, may as well just throw them into whatever. And there you go. So that'll be about it for this franchise mode. Thank you all for tuning in. I know it definitely did not go as planned, with various players wanting to leave and then signing the huge contract of Landon DuPont, right? So it was a series of unfortunate events combined with a desperation signing of Landon DuPont, which really turned this franchise on its head. But you know what? The rebuild came and went. This team is now a contender again, and I think this team has a lot to look forward to in the future. So before we end things off, I want to thank the channel members. Thank you so much for all your support. And it really means a lot as we head into this rebrand here. So once again, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.